Hey guys, welcome to hacking your brain and taking action in your dating life. I'm Duke Delaet. I'm a dating coach. If you haven't seen me before, I'm a dating coach and a NLP practitioner and a hypnotist and all these other certifications I got to be a life coach. And today we're talking about being decisive and taking action in your dating life. The thing is that you don't really have a problem generally. Like most of my clients, when they call me, there's a lot of how-to problems. Like, oh, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to, how to keep a conversation going, stuff like that. But that's relatively not true. Knowing what to do is generally not your problem. If you're on a date or you're standing in front of somebody you just approached or you see somebody you want to go talk to, your mind takes your sorry, I can't read and fucking think at the same time. I'm just gonna free flow this thing. All right, so your brain tends to freeze. You know, you get into some sort of amygdala type response, and you fight, freeze, and you don't access the parts of your brain that you would normally be able to access in normal situations. So, for example, you hang out with a bunch of your friends and you can talk for hours and hours and hours about random stuff. If you see somebody that you're attracted to, all of a sudden your physiology changes, and then you get locked up and you can't access the parts of you who can freely speak, who can freely focus. Same thing in public speaking, apparently. but yeah, so a lot of my clients, I've been working in the men's dating coaching industry for a long time. A lot of my clients, they just have a problem when they see a very beautiful woman, somebody that they're, gutturally, viscerally attracted to. Everything locks up. They can't, a lot of them will report somatic feelings in their chest, in their throat, and they're not able to access the words in their brain. And so they go through and they practice and they tell stories a lot and they get warmed up and they do all this stuff in order to get past that. But in reality, the brain is just hyper focused on something that is scary or novel, but it has nothing to do with their actual skill sets. It just, they can't access their skill sets in the moment. So yeah, let me look at my notes real fast. Okay, it says, let's face it, knowing what to do isn't your problem. You're standing there, seeing somebody you want to talk to, and you know what to do, but you can't get yourself to do it. So there's this guy, his name was Robert Burns, old school author. He said, the best laid plans of mice and men often go awry. And you can sit around and visualize and plan and get, clarity on what you want to say, on what you want to do when you're faced with a moment that has some particular significance to you. But you can sit, you can you can watch all the YouTube videos and all the online courses and all the whatever that you want. But when you're in your resourceful, creative self, you can access that stuff just fine. But when you're in front, you're locked down, and you're in front of somebody you're going to go talk to. A lot of the clients that I talk to, they're working on approaching, right? So a lot of the men in my programs, they want to go out to bars and clubs, go out in, malls and bookstores, cafes, Whole Foods, and they want to go out and meet new people. So they got to break through that barrier and say, hey, real quick, I got to talk to you real fast, and I got to introduce myself, and make it not super awkward while they're trying to hit on somebody. And there are good ways to do that. There are bad ways to do that, taking care of people's safety and calibrating to the environment and all that. But knowing all of that stuff doesn't help you in the moment if you can't access all of the strategies and routines that you have in your brain. So in this video, I'm reading like an old YouTube script. in this online course, I'm going to show you how to hack your brain so you can take action on autopilot so you can act without thinking. And your disempowered self can just sit there on the sidelines and watch your creative, resourceful self do the cool stuff and get all the results you're looking for, and you're not sounding like an idiot. All right, so oh yeah, I'm Duke Delaet. Yeah, I already said that. Okay, so there's two sides. Introduction. There's two sides to the brain. You have the resourceful side. You have the non-resourceful side, and generally, the non-resourceful side is attached to some sort of fear or fight, flight response, right? I remember I was going down one of my probably my first few as a pro, first few times as a pro dating coach in the men's dating industry. I was supposed to go out and film a bunch of approaches. So back in the day, YouTube let us go out and film and do actual live examples. So I'd go out and I'd go talk to a girl, try to get her phone number, and go on a date with her. And then one of my teammates at the company I was working at would go around and take a camera and follow me around, and then we cut it together, put it on YouTube, and be like, look, our dating coaches actually practice what they preach, right? YouTube doesn't really let us do that anymore. We get shadow banned. We don't get promoted and stuff, so it's not really useful to do that. But back in the day, it was a big deal. And so I went down and I was just talking to a bunch of different girls, and it was just really scary. Like there's this low level underlying anxiety. I had just got a Vice reporter. He came out and tried to tear me to shreds. And people on YouTube were being super mean, like in the comments. I'm just getting torn apart. And so I had that sitting there in my brain as I was going out and filming new YouTube stuff. And so there's this real low level anxiety that, like, every time I went out there, I would just go to do what I was going to do. But then I felt like I had imposter syndrome, because even though I was good at it and even though I had the skill sets, it was scarier for some reason at that time to that I was going to screw up and get destroyed on YouTube and all this stuff. So I walked up, I talked to a couple of girls. They're way out of my league as far as hotness or whatever. And that was good. Got the number, did another one. And then I saw probably one of the most beautiful women I've ever met in my entire life. Present company excluded. But she ended up being like an international, like Olympic soccer star. She was like super gorgeous, and I rolled in there, and my buddy Matt, he's the guy who owns the Attractive Man. They've since moved on to big high ticket men's lifestyle stuff, but back then we used to do pickup, and he was there with the camera like this in front of him, like doing this thing, trying to record the whole thing. And I'm just like, you could like hide, bro. I'm trying to talk to this. They're probably one of the most beautiful women, like to this date, that I've ever seen in my life. And I'm breaking through it, and I'm like, and I can't access any of the stuff. Like, I'm a literal, like, world traveling, full blown, at the time, pickup artist, right? I was like I taught men how to do this stuff, and I had all this stuff, just tomes and tomes of shit in my brain. But going in there with Matt filming the camera and this beautiful, amazing woman in front of me, I couldn't access whatever, so I had to like drop down to just like being real, which was cool. I've since done that with my game in general, but back then it was kind of weird. And I kind of stumbled through it, and she gave me her Instagram. She had like 50-something thousand followers. I'm like, oh great, yeah. And I got out of there, and Matt's just like, you are so good. Like, why in this particular interaction do you suck total shit? Like, and I'm just like, well, the side of me that was good at this stuff, I couldn't get to while I was in front of this girl, and it, obviously affected my results. So, like I said, like Robert Burns says, the best laid plans of mice and men often go awry. I plan all this stuff, but then, like Mike Tyson also said, if you, everybody's got a plan until they get hit in the face. And so all of my focus and my attention, it went to the threat, or the perceived threat that was in the moment, which was this super, super hot, super famous girl. And I had no time to go through and deal with my strategy and put on some sort of front, or even be the confident version of me, right? I was being real, I was being authentic, and she was cool about it, and everything was cool. But I was definitely not the same way I was, like if I was in front of a seminar crowd, or if I was with my friends, or if I was just out having a good time at the local bar, right? Like I'm just not accessing the same human. So what's next on the thing? Oh yeah. I got super frustrated that I'm the one getting in my own way. Sorry, this comes from a YouTube script I wrote probably 5 years ago, and so maybe 4 years ago. And so it's like, blah, blah, blah. There's two sides to my brain, right? All the old YouTube stuff. Anyway, so I'm a coach. I got my degree in psychology. I got all these mentors and all this craziness that I've gone through to become good at this shit. And I couldn't access any of it. So I went through my notebooks, and I was trying to figure out, like, I keep fucking constant journals and notebooks and legal pads everywhere. And I went through all my notes of all the things I've watched and try to figure out, okay, how do I access this part while I'm in the moment? Now, obviously, we get this whole, like, we do a lot of progressive desensitization. You go out and practice. We do, I go out every night. I go out, to kind of lessen the blow of some of those things that make you nervous. But still, when you're in a novel situation, your brain will focus on the novelty, and then it won't focus on your regular patterns unless you've really, 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 really ingrained them. So I dug through my notebooks and I found it. There's this thing called I try to figure out, like, why we limit ourselves in the moment. And other than the fear thing, there's this thing called the thoughts, actions, results, beliefs loop. And once you understand it, you'll be able to kind of kick the thing into high gear and get yourself to progressively kind of spiral up into super efficacy. So I guess I will throw a graphic in here when the course comes out, because I don't have it on the screen right now. But yeah, so we have your thoughts, which is the things that you think, right? The actions that you take, the results that you get from those actions, and then the beliefs or the emotions that drive your kind of inner motivation. So the your belief systems run everything, and a lot of your belief systems were created in your childhood, in your formative years, before you're cognitive, like 6 to 12, or there's a bunch of different research that talks about your inner childhood or whatever. But in your formative years, you get all of these things plugged into you. We talk a lot about attachment styles. We talk a lot about trauma and why you do the things that you do, and kind of how it blueprints your actions for the rest of your life, unless you actively process the trauma and get rid of it. But your belief systems, they're largely unconscious, but they control pretty much everything that you do. So your belief systems, like, let's say I believe, because I'm mildly obese, that I'm not hot enough to get a fitness model and to take her out on a date. And so that belief system is like sitting there underneath my little insecurities or whatever. Well, the thoughts that come out of that are, I'm not good enough, or I don't have the tools necessary, or I can't go do this until I get these things accomplished, right? And those thoughts will push my actions forward. And so I'll be like, okay, well, I'm not good enough, so I'm just not gonna go talk to her, or I'm not gonna go. I'm gonna talk to her, but I'm not gonna show my intention to like take her on a date, because if she saw that, then obviously she would reject me. So I'm just gonna try to be her friend, right? I'm gonna try to be the nice guy, and then those actions create results, and those results are like, well, you were the nice guy, so she had no idea you wanted to pursue her romantically, so she slotted you in the friend zone. And then that results backs up the belief system that, like, see, I talk to hot girls and all they do is throw me in the friend zone. And it adds to that internal belief. The belief does the thoughts, actions, results, and it just keeps spiraling into this thing, and it locks you into this little pigeonhole of self-fulfilling prophecy. And so here's some examples. But so so you can do this like self-fulfilling prophecy downward spiral loop, or you can do a self-fulfilling prophecy upward spiral loop. You can create a new belief system that says, okay, well, I can talk fairly well, I speak their language, I can look them dead in the eye, and I have fun things to say. They'll probably pay attention to me. And as long as I am honest with them, and they see that my intentions are real and it's congruent, then they will likely consider me as a candidate. And they may reject me, for a number of evaluation reasons, but they'll probably consider me as a candidate, and my, not going to the gym enough doesn't really affect that all that much. And I'll have that belief system, then my thoughts will be like, all right, well, I'm going to go talk to her, see what happens. I'm curious. And I go in there, talk to her, and then that's the action that gets created. And I show my intent right away. I'm like, hey, you're absolutely gorgeous. I'd love to see what you're all about. And she'll be like, that sounds nice. But, and then she starts asking me questions, starts getting into me. And then the results are like, oh, well, hot girls will talk to me and they will consider me as a romantic prospect. And that sets the new belief system in there, and it kind of ekes that groove in, and then creates the new thoughts, and then creates the new actions, and then creates the new results, and you can upward spiral into positiveness as long as you are controlling what your thoughts or your actions or your results or your beliefs are at any given point in time. So here's where the demons come. Have you ever known exactly what you wanted to do? You're about to act, you're about to do it, and then all the failures and the insecurities and things from the past that come flashing into your brain, and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, should I be doing this? Am I this kind of guy? What? Then it's second guess, right? These are all the thoughts that come in, triggered by those underlying belief systems. Well, remember the two cells we were talking about earlier? You got the YouTube watching, planning, intelligent, suave person who knows what to do and how to take action. And you got the other guy who's just like, I'm doubt, I'm fearful, I shouldn't even be out here. Like the genius plan that you just made up, the other self kind of makes you second guess it. Well, a lot of the guys who come into my program, especially when I was working for The Attractive Man, they would come in and they'd be like, oh yeah, I had this one girl and she said no to me and I don't think I've ever gotten over her, and can you do some hypnosis stuff to get me over my ex and all this stuff. Oh yeah, okay, great. You got the past regression stuff, and then you got the future projection, right? You're gonna be like, that's gonna sound stupid. You got like, if I approach her, she's gonna think I'm weird. Or if I approach her with that group, they're gonna make fun of me. They're gonna laugh at me. Or if I talk to her while she's coming out of the store, she's gonna be annoyed because she was just trying out to shop, and what am I to interrupt her life, and all of these things. She's out of my league. All these thoughts that come in and they just fucking take control. And the more reference experience you have over the time of your existence, they're more of those thoughts are kind of inbred in there. So your inner beliefs, they're the parents of all of your thoughts. I was talking earlier about the belief system to the thought system, right? I was just covering all the thoughts, the negative thoughts. Well, you come in with the inner belief system. If your inner belief is like, I'm going to die alone, then it's going to take all those thoughts and bring them to the forefront. Any core belief, like you're not interesting, you're not worthy, you're not tall enough, you're too old, you don't have enough experience, they can spawn into all these thoughts that keep you from taking action and missing out on all the results you're looking for. So, I need to break these things up a little better. Oh, yeah. However, core beliefs that you're a badass, that you're insanely attractive, you're good at storytelling, you're good at sex, she'd be lucky to spend a moment with you. These beliefs lead to empowering thoughts that lead to badass action taking, which usually lead to badass results, which reinforce the thoughts. So you might be saying to yourself, like, but I don't believe in myself, Duke. That's the problem. My inner belief systems are screwed up. And I understand. Whenever you have a real life experience that gives you new data, that data, like we call them reference experiences. I think Tony Robbins coined the term back in the 80s. You get new data, and that new data will add to the corpus of data that's in your brain about a particular event or what do you call it? Thing that happens in your life. All the experiences that you have, any similar experience get kind of lumped together in the brain, and then you have this sort of overall picture. If you add a new reference experience to that thing, you can start to reshape that big conglomeration of beliefs that you have around a particular subject. A lot of guys that come into the newbie programs at the Attractive Man, they would come in on a 3-day, and they'd never talked to a woman ever before in their life, like not on purpose, like never like cold approach, like never been like, she's cute, I'm gonna go say hi. Never done that. And so they had all these belief systems about what would happen if they did that, but most of those belief systems weren't true, because as long as you're not creepy, you don't get too close, you don't surprise them. Most women, if you go talk to them, they're like, and they talk to you like a human being. And if you talk to them like a human being, everything's cool. But they don't know that, because they didn't have, like all the guys that were training in the newbie seminars, they didn't know that. They thought that if they went up there, the girl would kick them in the nuts and fucking run away, call security, or just give them a look that was just like the one that the 7th grader that, when they were in 7th grade, they destroyed them, and it gives you all this trauma. But if you take the right actions, then you usually get different results, or you get the right results, which are different results than you had been by taking the wrong action. So if you get a better reference on reality by taking the action and then getting the new results, then your beliefs start to mold to match the things that you actually seen in real life. If you go out and get results, then you're hacking your own brain to believe different things. So all the stupid thoughts that come out, like it's really hard to think, fat guys don't get laid, I'm fat, so I'm not going to get laid. It's really hard to hold that belief system when you've consistently gone out and met a bunch of cool girls and, had a lot of fun. And then you look back on your reference experiences and you're like, well, I guess fat guys do get laid, right? Like you can't, the thoughts don't come in and take you out anymore when you have a lot of positive reference experiences. And that only comes from taking the action that leads to those results. So if you take useless actions in your life, like a lot of guys will come in and they'll say, okay, well, I need to know what I'm going to say, and I need to plan out my entire set. So then they sit there for months and they write out all their little gambits and they do all the stuff. And then they're like, when I go and talk to a girl, I know exactly what to do, right? It's kind of a useless action. I mean, it's not necessarily useless and like completely to like make plans and do stuff like that, but without any real world reference experiences that come back from it, you're just kind of like theorizing, and so that's useless, which leads to useless results, and then leads to useless belief systems, which leads to more useless thoughts. But if you take good actions, then you get new results. Like, not good actions, but at least different from what you're doing before. If you take action, you get new results. Sometimes, you try something, you're like, hey, ladies, what that mouth do, right? And in very few circumstances, you're going to get a laugh and that's going to work. But most of the time, that's not pretty solid, right? And so you're going to learn that as you go out and you try stuff. And you're like, okay, well, that didn't work, so now I have a rough experience in that. That was a little too forward. That was, they don't know me well enough. I haven't developed enough comfort. They didn't have the same sense of humor I did. You start to learn that stuff, and then you realize that you can take different actions and calibrate that in perpetuity. So practical interchange work. You can do a lot of meditation. You can do a lot of releasing. There's a lot of hypnosis stuff we can do. But real interchange work, as far as I've seen it in my industry, is about action taking. It's about stepping out, doing the thing you're scared of, seeing what's actually going on, modifying it, doing it again. And you just iterate into the upper spiral thing where your belief systems constantly change because the results that you're getting from your life are actually feeding new data into the belief systems. And then your brain can no longer believe the old stuff it didn't believe because it sees new stuff. It's the new shit that you experience, it cannot forget if you pack it on and there's a volume to it. So you try new stuff, you get new results, you believe new stuff, and then you think bigger. The two most common goals for guys in my 3-day programs are to be able to approach a girl without stopping myself. In the current climate, guys still have to make the approach. Or at least the masculine role has to make the approach. Some of my bisexual clients, they do all their approaches themselves, and then the couple lesbians that we've trained with, there's kind of the sit around demure, I'm gonna get talked to and I'm gonna hold back and be super shy. There's those girls, and they're the more kind of feminine energy girls, and then there's the other girls that are like, all right, I'm gonna get what I want. Look at me, I'm a predator, and so they're playing the traditionally masculine role in that interaction. And so a lot of the goals for these people are to go out and say, okay, I'm gonna go approach a new girl, and I'm not gonna stop myself from doing it, because that's their first thing. I got to get over the fear of getting rejected. That's their idea. And both of those are handled by getting out there and actually talking to people, right? To going out and trying your game out, right? If you do that, you start to get real reference experiences. You don't sit around and hem and haw in your basement and cry about how lonely you are. You're done. You just go do it. And it's great. So, if you go out and talk, I can tell you till I'm blue in the face that women are generally polite when they're getting approached, but until you experience it, there's nothing I'm going to say that's going to interrupt that defense system built by your dumb beliefs, right? By the time you get 50 approaches under your belt, you're going to realize that your belief system is going to change. You get 50 approaches under your belt, you're like, okay, hey, what's up? I just want to talk to you now. Hey, I want to talk to you. Oh, cool. Hey, what's your name? Right? And you get all these reference experiences. That belief system changes. If you originally believed that you just weren't cool enough to talk to girls, or you didn't have anything interesting to say or whatever, you don't have that belief anymore. It's tweaked, right? It may still come back at you, and your trauma may still come back and hit you. You may still get wrapped up in things that, you don't want to get wrapped up in. But the old belief fundamentally changes. And then I put, what did I say? Oh yeah, it starts to get fun, and that leads to better practice. Yeah. What's cool about that upward spiral is when you have cool belief systems, you go out and then it's easier you're more resilient against the negativity. So you start getting better results. Oh yeah, okay. So in this class, we cover the thoughts, beliefs, results, actions loop. Beliefs, thoughts, actions, results loop, and how you can use it to hack your brain to create an upward spiral of good times in your own head. So taking action, I mean, you can go at any level of this circle. Like you can go just change your thoughts, and then that changes your results. And that's what you do when you start learning shit. Like when you're, you sit in a lecture like this and you change your thoughts, and then your actions are going to be a little bit different. But I think the highest percentage way is just to do shit. Like go out and do the thing that you're trying to do. And what'll happen is when the new reference experiences come, it rewires the underlying subconscious belief systems. And the more you do it, the more impact you have on that rewiring. So taking action is the easiest way to structure the whole thing, and taking lots of action gets you lots of new reference experiences. And that's the key to reforming your thoughts and beliefs. Oh yeah, so that's the end of the presentation. Cool. Awesome. Thanks for joining me on this online course. There's some resources below on dealing with the action taking portion of it. If you want to get clear on what actions you want to take, feel free to hit me up for one-on-one coaching. DM me Instagram or LinkedIn or wherever the hell you find me. And you can email me at duke@dukedelaet.com. Also, there's a question box in the delivery of the replay below for this thing. Ask questions in there, and I will respond in the way of like YouTube videos and stuff. So hope you got a lot of value. I know there's a lot of value in it, so I hope you got a lot of value out of this thing. And if you have questions, comments, concerns, please DM me. Pretty fucking accessible. And I will see you on next week's class, which is, I think, the how to practice, what to do, what actions to take when you're going out and practice approaching new people. I think it's called Quality Over Quantity, that seminar, and it is on November something, 13th, I think. Awesome. Have a wonderful day and get out there and take action. I'm Duke for, I think this is my own website. I'll see you next time. Until then, stay awesome.